Hello everybody and welcome back to BeginnerJS. I'm Abrar and I'm your instructor for this course. And in this particular video, we're going to be talking about operators. Now, operators in JavaScript are very important because they allow us to do a lot of mathematical calculations. So let's see how they work. Okay, so operators. What are operators and how are they used in JavaScript? Well, operators are actually used to do mathematical calculations in JavaScript. So as I said in the previous videos, programming has a lot to do with mathematics. Often you need to work with numbers and do a lot of mathematical calculations depending on the project that you're working on. So in programming languages, we must have a way of doing these mathematical calculations. In JavaScript, we use operators, or arithmetic operators to be specific, to do these mathematical calculations. And these operators allow us to do a lot of mathematical calculations, including addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and more. Let's see some examples to clear this out. Okay, so here we're using the plus operator or the addition operator. Now, as you can see here, this is actually very similar to basic math that we learned in school. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So in this case, if we type in 1 plus 2 and then a semicolon to end the statement, as you can see, the output JavaScript calculates is by adding these two numbers together and giving us the result 3, as you can see on the comment on the right hand side. So this is an example of using the addition operator or the plus operator, which adds two numbers together. So in this case, 1 plus 2 equals 3. This is just simple and basic math that we all know. And subtraction works in a very similar way. You use the minus symbol to represent the subtraction operator. And the subtraction operator subtracts the second number from the first number. So in this case, 9 minus 3, as you all know, equals 6. And when we type in 9 minus 3 in a JavaScript console, when JavaScript is executed, the result output is 6, as you can see on the right hand side in the comment. So that's how the subtraction arithmetic operator works. Again, very similar to basic mathematics. Then we have multiplication. So the multiplication operator in JavaScript is represented by using the asterisk symbol. So in order to multiply two numbers, you type in the first number, then the asterisk symbol, and then the second number. So here, for example, we have 5 asterisk 4, or 5 into 4. 5 multiplied by 4. And the resulting output is the number 20, as you can see on the right hand side. So again, this is very similar to basic mathematics, but in JavaScript, we are using the asterisk symbol to denote the multiplication operation. And similarly, we have division. Now, the division operator in JavaScript is just a slash, or a forward slash in this case. So it's not exactly the division symbol, but it is denoted using the slash. So 30 slash 12, or 30 divided by 12, equals 2.5, as you can see on the right hand side in the comments. So by using the division operator, you can do division calculations on numbers inside JavaScript. And that is how these four basic operators work. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, which are denoted by the plus, minus, asterisk, and slash symbols. Now JavaScript, again like basic mathematics, always follows the order of operations. Now as we all know from basic mathematics, if we have multiple operations side by side, then we should do the division ones first, and then we should move on to the multiplication ones, then the addition, and finally the subtraction. And that is how the order of operations work. In JavaScript, the rule is pretty much the same. So here, for example, we have the mathematical expression using three types of operators. We have multiplication operators, the division operator, and also the subtraction operator. And the expression in this case is 50 multiplied by 3 divided by 4 minus 5.8. And when calculating the result, JavaScript follows the basic order of operations. So here, according to the mathematical rule of order of operations, the division operation should be executed first, which means 3 divided by 4. That is the part that will be executed first because it's a division operation. So 3 divided by 4 is executed first, and the result is 0.75. And then after JavaScript is done with the division, then we move on to the multiplication. So the multiplication operation is 50 into 3 divided by 4. And 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. So the operation here is 50 into 0.75, which results in 37.5. And finally, we have the subtraction, which in this case is minus 5.8. So 37.5 minus 5.8 results in 31.7. And that is the output that we get after this code is executed, as you can see on the right hand side. So even in JavaScript, the order of operations is maintained. Now, of course, if you want, you can change the order of operations by using parentheses. Now, in normal mathematics, we usually have different types of parentheses. For example, we have the normal parentheses, then we have another level of parentheses called the second level parentheses, or the curly braces, and we also have the square brackets or square braces. Now in JavaScript, we don't have all these three types of parentheses. We only have the basic parentheses that you can see here. And you can just use them over and over again, and you can nest them one inside the other if you want to control the execution flow and the order of operations on multiple levels. However, other than that, parentheses work in JavaScript pretty much the same way. Just like in normal mathematics, parentheses are given topmost priority when it comes to order of operations. So before any of the addition, multiplication, subtraction, or division operations are calculated, the parentheses, or what's inside the parentheses, is actually evaluated first. So whatever is inside the parentheses, that expression will be evaluated first, then everything outside the parentheses. And that is one way you can control the order of operations in JavaScript. So for example, we have the same expression as we had before, 50 into 3 divided by 4 minus 5.8. However, in this case, we don't want the division operation to be executed first. We might specifically need the subtraction operation to be executed first, so 4 minus 5.8. And we can do that by wrapping it up in a pair of parentheses. So instead of just having 4 minus 5.8, we have a pair of parentheses, and inside them we have 4 minus 5.8. And by doing that, we are specifically telling JavaScript to evaluate whatever is inside the parentheses first before moving on to calculations outside the parentheses. So in this case, the order of operations would be parentheses first and then everything else. And in this case, the 3 divided by 4 division operation won't be executed first. So at the very first, JavaScript will execute 4 minus 5.8, which would result in negative 1.8. And then we will move on to what's outside the parentheses. And in this case, outside the parentheses, we have the division operation. So that will be executed first. So 3 divided by negative 1.8 results in negative 1.66667. And finally, in the multiplication operation, we need to multiply this number by 50. So 50 multiplied by negative 1.66667 results in negative 83.33334, and so on. And that is how you can use parentheses to control the order of operations in JavaScript. In normal mathematics, you can only use these arithmetic operators on numbers. So for example, you can add, subtract, multiply, or divide two numbers together. However, in JavaScript, that's not actually the case. With JavaScript, you can actually do operations with different data types. So how does that work? Let's see an example. So here, for example, we have a string that says ABC and another string with the value XYZ, and then we just add them together. And the result is one string with the value ABCXYZ. So what is going on here? How does this work? Well, as I just said, in JavaScript you can do operations with different data types, which means you can not only use these arithmetic operators with numbers, but you can also use them with strings or even some other data types. So in this case, we have two strings with the values ABC and XYZ, and we're just adding them together. So just like we have, say, 1 plus 2 equals 3, then similarly, we have the string ABC plus XYZ, which means we're adding these two strings together. So in normal mathematics, this type of operation wouldn't make any sense. This wouldn't be valid. However, in JavaScript, this type of operation is completely valid. In fact, this is called string concatenation. Basically, we're concatenating or adding two strings together. So how does this work? Well, we have the string ABC and another string XYZ, and when we use the plus operator to concat them together, we get the result ABCXYZ. So in JavaScript, whenever you add two strings together, they are basically just added side by side. They're concatenated side by side. So in the resulting output, we'll have the first string and the second string added at the end of the first string. So ABC plus XYZ results in the final string ABCXYZ. And that is how operations with different data types work. Now you can also do operations where the two argpands are different data types. So for example here, we have the string ABC, and then we're adding the number 12 to that string. What? Well, in normal mathematics, this wouldn't make any sense. You can't add a number to some text or a string. But in JavaScript, this is actually a valid operation. You can add numbers to strings and vice versa. And in this case, the string ABC plus the number 12 results in the string ABC12. So what exactly is going on here? Well, these calculations wouldn't make sense in normal mathematics. However, in JavaScript, whenever you add a number to a string, the number is automatically converted into a string before being concatenated together. So in this case, the string ABC plus the number 12, when this statement is executed, JavaScript converts the number 12 into a string. So 12 the number becomes 12 the string. So the result is kind of like ABC string plus the 12 string. And then, just like the first example, these two strings are concatenated together, which means they're added side by side. So the output in this case is a string ABC12. And that is how you can do operations with different data types. If you're adding a number to a string or a string to a number, then the number will be converted automatically into a string. And while that's very helpful, remember that JavaScript is known for sometimes doing some weird data type conversions automatically that might mess up your code. So be careful with that. However, not all operations actually make any sense. For example, while you can't add a string to a number or a number to a string, you can't really subtract a number from a string. So for example, the string ABC minus the number 12 doesn't even make any sense, even in JavaScript. And that's why the result is the special value nan. Now nan is a special value which has a data type number which represents not a number. So nan's full form is not a number. And this is a value that you'll get when JavaScript thinks an operation is not valid. So for example, minusing a number from a string doesn't even make any sense. And that is why the result is nan, because JavaScript thinks this operation is not valid, and that's why the output is not a number, nan. So in this case, you can't really subtract a number from a string. Similarly, you also can't subtract strings from other strings. So for example, the string ABC minus the string XYZ doesn't make any sense either, because, well, how can you minus a string from another string, right? These operations don't make sense. And if you try to do that, minusing a string from another string, the result is again nan, not a number, because JavaScript thinks these operations are not valid, which is correct. Now here's a very important thing to remember. Often in programming, when you'll be writing code, you'll have to work with numbers, and you might want to add two numbers together. However, in some cases, those numbers might not exactly be in the numbers data type. Those might be in form of other data types, for example, most likely strings. So in this case, we have two strings, the string with the value 2 and another string with the value 2. And we want to add these two things together, so 2 plus 2. Now, in normal operations, 2 plus 2 should result in 4, right? Because 2, the number, plus 2, the number, results in 4. However, unfortunately, in this case, we have these two values in string form. So both of these operands are not numbers, they're strings. So we have the string 2 plus another string 2. And the result is not 4. The result is a string 22. And that is a big difference, because normally you would expect 2 plus 2 to return the number 4. However, in this case, because these two values are strings and not numbers, JavaScript doesn't actually add them together in a mathematical sense. It just concatenates two strings together. So similar to the first example, where we have the string ABC plus the string XYZ, resulting in ABCXYZ, similarly, the string 2 plus the string 2 results in the string 22, and not the number 4. So you need to be very careful when working with numbers. And this also illustrates why we have a different numbers data type and a different strings data type, because these two data types are not the same in JavaScript. JavaScript treats them differently. With numbers, you can do mathematical calculations, however with strings, you can only concatenate them. And thus you need to be very careful when working with these operations. What's even more scary is, again, if you add a string to a number, then the number is automatically converted into a string. So for example, you might have the number 2 plus the string 2, and again you might expect the result to be 4, because 2 plus 2, as we all know by common sense, results in 4. However, unfortunately here in our code, we have one of these operands, the last two, in string form. So the last 2 is not actually 2 the number, but it's actually 2 the string. So the expression is the number 2 plus the string 2. And the result is again the string 22 and not the number 4. Why is that? Because again, we are adding a string to a number. And when we add a string to a number, the number is automatically converted into a string. Like in the second example, we have the string ABC plus the number 12. The number 12 is automatically converted into a string, and thus the result is ABC12, the string. And that's the same thing that is happening here. We have the number 2 plus the string 2. And when this code is executed, JavaScript automatically converts the number 2 into the string 2. So this expression internally is converted into the previous one. And the result is we have two strings together which are concatenated to form the string 22 and not the number 4. Now, if you're working with both strings and numbers and you want your mathematical calculations to be correct, then first you need to explicitly convert the strings into numbers. How do you do that? Well, there are a lot of ways of doing that. One of them is using the Parsefloat method. Now in JavaScript, we have a method called Parsefloat, which can be used to parse a string as a floating point number, or in simpler words, convert a string into a number. So in this case, the Parsefloat method accepts one parameter as an argument, and this parameter written inside the parentheses is where you actually input the string that you want to convert into a number. So in this case, we have the string 6 minus 3. So 6 minus 3, we would want the result to be the number 3, because 6 minus 3 equals 3. However, because 6 is a string here, so the string 6 minus the number 3 would result in nan, just like the string abc minus 12 results in nan. So in this case, this operation would not return 3, it would return nan. So in order to actually return 3, the correct mathematical calculation, we would need to convert the string into a number first. So we use the Parsefloat method in this case. We type in Parsefloat and then parentheses, and inside the parentheses, we input the string that we want to convert into a number. So the string 6. And the Parsefloat method converts the string 6 into the 6, the number. So when this code is executed, at first the Parsefloat method is executed and the string 6 is converted into the number 6. And then we have the number 6 minus 3. So the number 3 subtracted from the number 6. And then the result is the correct mathematical calculation, giving us the number 3 and not nan. And that is how you can do operations with different data types in JavaScript.